My name is Major Chris Ryder, Salvation Army. I'm the Divisional Corps Mission Resource Officer. When churches are healthy, they have a stronger impact in community. The division needed a tool to start measuring church health. All that we had before is how many bums are in the pew and how much money is in the bank account.
Why is that a problem?
Because that's not health. That's not health.
What is it?
Well, that is sometimes a metric. Sometimes it can be evidence of health, but it doesn't really mean that there's health. We have had large churches that have toxic environments, so there's no health, right? We've had churches with lots of money, but very little impact in community, and so that's not health. We had to have a better tool in our toolbox to measure church health and versus church growth. We had to get away from just numbers in the process, and we needed some really good quality characteristics around it, which the NCD gives us. We're giving them some of the best tools for forecasting, for planning, for addressing the real needs that's within the church. So fundamentally for us, it's not only is it a good assessment, we think it's the right assessment, but it also helps visioning, planning, next steps, and restoring even through revitalization. And we think it's a very strong tool.
For the person who suggests that this is just a new fad, what do you say to those people?
Well, what we'll say, there's not another tool out there, first and foremost, is in depth or complex or proven that deals with church health. So there's not another tool out there that can come close to measuring and giving direction around what is church health out of that process.
So let's talk about Scripture for a second. So we'll talk about some of the key passages from the Bible that are important to us in NCD. One would be Mark 4:26 to 29, where the farmer gets up and it's as if the crops are growing all by themselves.
Yeah.
And so we would argue that God does the growing. We can't grow anything. The acorn has all the code of being an oak tree in it, but we can't make it happen. All we can do is the gardening and the farming, and it's the same in the church. We can't make the church grow, but we can do the tending and all that sort of stuff. And the other one is John 15, where we're talking about fruitfulness.
I think John 15 is one of the most fundamental teachings that we have in Scripture. Here's Jesus walking through the vineyard, right? And he talks about bearing fruit, much fruit, fruit that's going to last, right? And be increasingly fruitful. And I mean, it is a fundamental teaching of this whole concept of what we're called to be. He leaves this message with the disciples: bear fruit, bear much fruit. How do we know we're bearing fruit? And how do we know we're building fruit that's going to last? And how do we know we're increasingly fruitful?
Yep.
Right?
And so some people would argue that that's a tall promise to step into that and say, we can help you measure that.
But that's discipleship. That is like discipleship 101. So I think that is the easiest piece. And what NCD does helps shape the conversation.
This idea that we take the Lord's, some of the most important teaching he ever gave, and we're going to turn it into a survey. It feels kind of, it feels mechanistic and earthy, but it isn't just that. It's spiritual and it's important and it's some of the most important stuff we can do. NCD is kind of helping you, and the division as partners are trying to help the Corps hold a mirror up to itself and then step into those results and go, okay, what is it saying? What are we, who are we? Sometimes people push back on that and say, well, it's just people's impressions and it's just people's feelings and their ideas about what's going on. It's not fact. Well, yes, but there are no facts about what is existing here and what the health of this congregation. All we have is the impressions of people.
It is the collective opinion of what people are experiencing. Here's my experience. When I come into this church, when I come in to be a part of worship, here's what I experience out of it. So what NCD does for us, it helps shape the questions around what is church health, around the 8 characteristics and the verbs that go with it, the empowering, the adverbs that go with the empowering, and all those things help shape the conversation that goes into the congregation. So when we sit in a story guide conversation, the issues have been addressed, the themes have been highlighted. Here's what comes most naturally to you, here comes what least natural to you. We're not using things, well, here's your strength and here's your weakness. We don't use that language. We use language as here's what comes most naturally to you and here's what comes least naturally to you.